everyone. We're back to the start of another Business and Markets Week here on Frontier Africa Reports. It's your Frontier opening bell. Let's get started. Hope you all had a very great weekend. Let's see how the markets finished off last week. But let's start with Sunday. That was yesterday when the Egyptian stock market started its own trading day in Cairo. The EGX 30, the most watched index on that exchange, was up 2.72%, roughly 2.75%. That was a very strong opening to the start of the week in Cairo, Egypt, and the index was cruising around 29,000 level. Overall, if you look from the top of the table, the Nigerian stock market finished off still weak, as it were, last week. The investors gained roughly roughly a trillion naira, so to speak, roughly 940 billion naira in total value of all securities traded for the week. The BRVM, the Egyptian, the Ghana stock market, the Nairobi stock market, and the JSE finished a little bit mixed as market sentiments begin to come back a little bit positive, taking a cue from the rest of the global marketplace. So that's a bit of a mixed Friday across the various markets in the region. As you can see, a few notches down for a few markets. The South African market was closed on Friday for a public holiday. That's about it. Let's just move on and check through some of the biggest headlines across the East African corridor. That's where we're getting started, as always, on the east with Ethiopia's Securities Exchange. The new ESX set to open formally for business in October. We'll be right on top of that for you when this exchange gets to start operation. Kenya's the Treasury, the Ministry of Finance, is looking at roughly 778 billion shillings in new IMF budget support, while investors are buying, Kenyan investors bought about 500 million shillings stake in Transmara's sugar mills. The government of President Ruto is looking to take government fingers off a number of sugar refining companies within the country, and this is one of the deals of the privatization program of President Ruto's administration, allowing the private sector to take the driver's seat, as it were. Uganda is looking to cede about a 60% stake in Utel, the country's national telecommunication companies, to Dubai's Rowad capital, and that to bring $225 million into the pockets of President Museveni's administration. And finally, Tanzania faces about 3.2 trillion naira or trillion shillings in legal battle with Orca Energy. That's a controversy. The legal battle has been there for a couple of years, and now it's getting to the Supreme Court level. Okay, let's check in with West Africa. Of course, Nigeria's central bank still throwing all its guts into the foreign exchange market, as it were. Last week conducted the first retail Dutch auction directly into the system, looking to prevent a further decline in the value of the naira. At the NAFEX window for last week, as reported by FMDQ, the naira was down 0.58% on the US dollar. FCMB Asset Management is looking to raise 100 billion local currency in Nigeria's first private credit fund, while the banks are still on the streets, holding their various meetings and briefing the markets. We expect to hear from Zenith Bank today for its facts behind the offer. It's a hybrid offer from Zenith Bank, Nigeria's largest commercial bank by market value. We'll brief the market just before the market close at 2:30 Nigerian time. You may want to check that up online. And the energy cost of Nigeria's cement manufacturers, Dangote Cement, Boa Cement, and a couple of others are around 140% energy costs higher in first quarter. And then you can understand why cement prices are not tapering, at least for now. The African Energy Chamber, headquartered in South Africa, in Johannesburg, says it's taking up banks and other financial institutions in Europe and elsewhere who are now snobbing or boycotting oil and gas investment across the African continent. Going to have a session with NG Ayuk, who's the head of the AEC, later today. An African bank headquartered in Egypt is looking to double intra-Africa trade support by this DFI, by as much as $20 billion by the year 2025. It's just next door, isn't it? A couple of months away from the new year. And Ghana has opened its first gold refinery after a major gold find in a country formerly known as Gold Coast. Let's get on and check in with Southern Africa. What's making the headlines as you start your new business and markets week? Let's get through Zimbabwe, Zambia, and of course, South Africa. The JSE, South Africa's stock exchange and Africa's biggest exchange, reporting a robust net profit of about roughly 500 million rand for the first half of the year. Headline earnings per share came in at about 606 South African cent, while net cash from operations was reported at 502 million rand. In the meantime, Mozambique president has appointed the prime minister as the new minister of finance, keep an eye on the country's treasury. And the cabinet in Zimbabwe has approved a new roadmap to de-dollarize this Zimbabwean economy. The President Emerson Mnangagwa's administration is pushing ahead strongly to roll off the US dollar as the country's fiat currency and enthrone, firmly speaking, as it were, the new ZiG currency backed by gold reserves. And Zimbabwe's revenue agency, however, has lost the $15.9 million tax dispute with Nestle subsidiary operating in the country. And finally, COMESA, that's the common market for East and Southern Africa, reporting annual inflation slowing to 23.2% in the month of June. That's for that region. You've been brave. Let's move on. Touch on the North African corridor for this Monday. Libya's oil production is being impacted by the protests around the Sharara oil field, but we've got a couple of deals coming in that will help some independent producers within the country rev up their output. Morocco's, however, in 2024 finance bill is focusing on key areas: water, food, energy, as well as purchasing power of Moroccans to rev up the appetite of investors into the economy, as well as grow it, broadly speaking. Egypt, the biggest economy, is looking to build 2 new hydroelectric projects, while Belton Holdings of Egypt, listed on the exchange, says it's got a finance license to aid the small and medium enterprises sector in Egypt. Back in Morocco's 2024 finance bill is focusing mainly on water, food, energy, and purchasing power. Those are the crunching areas of the new bill that King Mohammed is expected to sign on. Egypt is looking to build 2 new hydroelectric power projects that will help the energy sector for North Africa's biggest economy, while Belton Holdings, which is listed on the AGXs, has secured a finance license to aid small and medium enterprises sector in the country. Back in Morocco, the country has approved SRM Casablanca Setar's purchase of Lidec within the marketplace, while Spain's Checkin Utel is looking to set up 2 new tourist establishments in Morocco. Of course, you know, Morocco is one of North Africa and one of the iconic tourist centers across the African continent. And those are your headlines to start the brand new week. It's the second business and markets week in the month of August. Do have a great day, everyone. The bell is back. Have a great and profitable week. I am Bosun Omofai, and I will see you soon.